So, Andre, before we get this match started, do you have any predictions for Hasu versus DarKFoRcE?
You know, both players are really fantastic. HasuObs is the macro player. DarKFoRcE is the macro player. But I have to say, I really like not only DarKFoRcE's endgame, but Protoss's endgame at that super late stage when they have motherships and a ton of Archons. You know, I've been Protoss. I've been doing Archon toilets. They're really fun.
And really it's actually a little bit too easy to get off sometimes, in my opinion. But Hasu's been playing that style for a long time, and he's been playing it to perfection. And, you know, the biggest thing, though, is that Hasu isn't able to necessarily get that kind of composition, that late game, as easily. We saw in week number 1 when he played Demaga that sometimes Demaga was capitalizing on Hasu's weakest points. So I'm actually going to go with DarKFoRcE. I feel that ZVP, his ZVP, especially with some of the way he's been able to pull out aggression, even though while he macros, I think DarKFoRcE has a chance in this series.
No, I definitely think he has a chance. It'll be tough. I could see it going 2-1 either way, but, you know, I was a little bit, what's the word? I was kind of shocked that he lost to Noni with a score of 2-0 in the first week. That was a big shocker, and it did rattle a little bit my confidence in DarKFoRcE. Now, I love DarKFoRcE. I've known him for ever since Season 1. I've been a big fan of him ever since he had his breakout performance at the Season 1 finals. But, you know, HasuObs, he's been a consistent contender. He's been in every single one of the NASL finals. He's the one that I think is going to take it most likely.
So let's introduce our players, starting from our yellow Protoss player in the bottom left. It is none other than Dennis Schneider, HasuObs from Team Mouse CC. In the top right, we have its alternate attacks DarKFoRcE, the blue Zerg. And of course, he is also a German player, as Connie found out the hard way. And she was like, how is the jet lag, DarKFoRcE? He's like, well, I'm from Germany, so I imagine not pretty bad at all. Now, something interesting from DarKFoRcE versus Protoss, he's 58%, by far his highest win rate, and he's 6-4 versus HasuObs. But what's even cooler, as you know, of course, he's getting blocked by pylons, very typical of Hasu, is that next week they'll be playing in the EPS finals. So this is kind of like a preview for the EPS League.
Yeah, and that's so cool to get just a little bit of a sneak peek into what these players are preparing. Now, it's interesting. That will actually affect a lot of what happens because the EPS finals are, well, let's be honest, there's more on the line. It's $150 here. That is a lot, but I forgot what the EPS finals are right now. But that being said, do you want to showcase all your special builds here at the NASL? Do you want to do that, or do you want to wait and play a little bit more reserved, try to fake out your opponent for later on, and then you're in a great position to win the EPS finals? I'm not sure. I don't know how these players are going to play it out.
Yeah, and of course, the reason why Greetorp can even say this is because he too played in similar situations back when he was a pro player. And yeah, I mean, we saw this with Thorazane versus Ret. They were playing the night that they were still at DreamHack, you know, and obviously they weren't playing their best games, and Thorazane kept some of his best TVZ, you know, in secret, and where he later beat Monster going in to win this entire tournament.
Yeah, so. I mean, think about that. Ret beats him in NASL, Thorazane wins DreamHack.
And I think Ret would definitely have the other way. Not to say that Ret's a terrible player. He actually made it to the semifinals as well.
Yes, he did very well.
You know, we have a really good selection of players, but that could come into play psychologically into this Protoss for Zerg.
Yeah, so now that we have that established, I'm hoping that both these players are you know, just trying their absolute best. But, oh, Rotterdam, thank you so much. It's actually 3,000 euro for first place and 1,500 for second place. Now, they're in euros, so that's about 10,000 US dollars for third place. And
then this match is worth a little bit less than that. Yeah, it's only worth 150. Still, though, you know, it's really important because now you can set up, if you know you're going to play your opponent later, this is how you kind of set them up. And so there's a lot of strategy, not in just the direct game himself, but over time and over series. We do see the first Stalker being chrono boosted out, or was chrono boosted initially, but Hasu is getting his out Stalker, which is cool because a lot of Protoss have actually been doing that. You know, normally they go Zealous Sentry a little bit and play more defensive, but we realized that Protoss players have been trying to get more aggressive in the early stages of PvZ lately.
Yeah, Stalkers have a higher probability, I think, of of scouting things out. You're able to get in there. They're slightly faster than Zealots, and if you can get there normally before the metabolic boost time, you're not going to actually lose that unit. So I like where you're going. Also, you can pick off stray overlords. Yeah. I should mention that as well, because that's pretty important. But here we go. HasuObs going to check if it is, in fact, the Stefano build. Of course, we know it is.
Yeah. Roach Warren before 7 minutes. Yeah, pretty standard time. And Hasu discovers 2 Zerglings, but he's not going to take them home and take care of them, man. He's a Zergling abuser.
He is. And
PETA's going to be upset about that, man. Well, I don't know if PETA exists in StarCraft 2. It'd be like space. It'd be CETA, man, because they're in space.
What is this? Oh, SETA.
Yeah. So, DarKFoRcE. Well, he scouts his Zealot Stalkers, so he's just he doesn't even really have to make too much else because he knows that Hasu's just poking. And he ultimately knows that Hasu's style, the way it is that he likes to be more defensive than anything. So, DarKFoRcE just making a few Zerglings and trying to see if he can pick off the units.
Interesting pylon placement right here. He's basically going to show to DarKFoRcE that there's a pylon up there. But no, he gets his Stalker into good position. And he's just going to try to skirm around all those units, but to no avail. Down goes the Stalker. And now.
And, you know, DarKFoRcE, he doesn't actually see the pylon. That's quite unfortunate because Hasu, he does have 4 Zealots warping in with +1. This is kind of a 4-gate pressure, and he is following up with a Twilight Council. Wow, you know, so he is going to follow up with a little bit more teching and stay on 2 base for a while, but these Zealots are now out into the field. DarKFoRcE has 4 Roaches, which is a little bit premature, but he still has a pretty healthy drone count.
I think the 4 Roaches are nice, but at this point, taking out this 1 Queen over here, it's going to be really, really important. Now, DarKFoRcE, I don't think he actually realized this was happening until the Zealots started attacking, because I saw no reaction from him this whole time. And that's really, really uncharacteristic of DarKFoRcE, in my opinion. Yeah,
DarKFoRcE is usually much better about that in terms of catching what Protoss is doing. They're still on hot pursuit of the Queen. Will they be able to get it? And that's actually really big because this is the part of time where Zerg wants to explode due to having large amounts of larva, and he has to really protect that Queen.
Oh, God. Again, losing the Queen. That's 2 Queens in total. And he's just now getting his first Queen that he lost over at the Natural. Where is his 3rd Queen? Did that die as well? Sweet mercy. No, okay, it was running back and forth. Okay, so DarKFoRcE did receive a little bit of damage at the 3rd. Let's go ahead and check the income tab, 49 to 64. So still a nice, good old lead for DarKFoRcE at this point. But you know, HasuObs is preparing for what looks like a 2-base Blink all-in. Nope, Dark Shrine. Excuse me. So I'm absolutely wrong. There's the Dark Shrine right over there. So he is doing some sort of tech build. It will still be some sort of 2-base build, but we'll see how successful it is.
He's also getting a a robotics, which makes me think he might also go for a War Prism play. Now, we've seen Protoss has kind of been experimenting with DT drops. We saw Puzzle do it not too long, but of course that was against a Terran. But the fact is, a lot of Protosses have kind of been incorporating that because, again, you don't want to let Zerg to their own devices. They get way too far behind. But DarKFoRcE, great job for him able to sneak in Overlord and Zergling to scout. No attempt on a fast 3rd because if you want to go for 3-base economy, Protoss would be trying to defend it by now.
No, oh my goodness. Okay, so does he actually see this is coming? 2 Dark Templars heading over. There is an Overseer out, so good for him. The first Dark Templar does get sniped, and the other 2 are going into the main and Natural. We'll see if they can do any amount of damage over here.
Wow, okay, so Hasu is just going for standard 3rd base here on normal timing, but he's just harassing Zerg. He's aiming the spawning pool, actually. And where's the other Dark Templar? Oh, does get surrounded by the Roaches. +2 is going to finish as well, so Hasu has a pretty good number of units back at home to defend against any counterattack. But is he going to get the spawning pool here, Andre?
Yeah, it looks like no. And what was I thinking? I can't believe I just said HasuObs is doing a 2-base all-in. I can't believe I just said that.
Oh, you said
that's
that?
Like,
I kind of missed that,
That's like the silliest thing in the world, right?
I said
HasuObs doing any sort of all-in. I should just remove that. Although he did prove me wrong with the Show versus HasuObs match game number 3.
Yeah, he did 1 base 4-gate.
Yeah, kind of stuff, he did 4-gate. So he has thrown me for a loop a little bit. But HasuObs right now 90 supply, just about to 143 supply of DarKFoRcE. And look at that, 20 Zerglings underway. It looks like DarKFoRcE is looking to put the pressure on his opponent since those Dark Templars didn't do as much damage as I think they needed to do.
Hasu has to be really careful. DarKFoRcE is moving across the center of the map, and Hasu does end up blinking backwards. He does have +2, but +2 for DarKFoRcE is about to finish as well, and he is in full unit production. He has the amount of drones he really needs. And is Hasu going to be prepared for this? He doesn't have that much sentry energy because he's pretty much been getting only stalkers. Nice. But a decent trap here kills off a few of those roaches, but at the same time prevents him from being able to move out and protect his third.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. I thought DarKFoRcE would have, not DarKFoRcE, I thought HasuObs would have split up his sentries and really put 2 or 3 over at the third. That would have prevented all of these roaches from getting in here and doing massive damage. Now the question is, can DarKFoRcE actually do enough damage here? He might be just giving up all of his units, but another round of units are going to flank in from behind, and now targeting down the Immortal, that's exactly what he needed to do.
And he's getting the sentries. The roaches are extremely in your face with HasuObs' army, and you see the Immortal actually does get into a great position, so DarKFoRcE, he's done a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, this is good. Even if he loses the rest of his units, Hasu lost some important units.
Well, you know what? The Harvester count is still pretty even, and DarKFoRcE hasn't looked onto the future. He has not taken a 4th base. He's just streamlining units in as fast as possible. It does look like HasuObs for now will stabilize. Another important thing is he took out all the Overseers. Dark Templars were warped in, so will enable him to defend a lot more efficiently. We'll see if DarKFoRcE can continue on this pressure.
That's an excellent point, Andre. And now that DarKFoRcE, I mean, the sheer mass of units, though. Oh, and the transfer of the probes. A little bit unfortunate timing here from Hasu. And keep in mind, again, because he invested so early in Dark Templars, he didn't have that much sentries. And a run-by attempt, not the best either, as some Dark Templar is actually not as fat as you think it would be. And some units do end up getting in.
Oh, man.
A good trap here from HasuObs, but some roaches are in the natural, and that's exactly what he wanted.
And we have a flank possibly coming out from the front. Looks like Zealots and Dark Templars will be warped into the natural. You know, it's unfortunate. HasuObs, I don't think he was able to actually force heal like that. Obviously, we saw him just be removed completely from his opponent, from defending his natural, and now we can see the third is under attack. This is not looking good for HasuObs.
Oh, and an excellent burrow as well. DarKFoRcE is going to go for a run by, and as soon as he pulls the army, he should unburrow at the natural as well, picking off some big kills. The Overseer's trying to usher those roaches to safety, but unburrow the roaches at the natural would be huge. The roaches coming in for another attack, but Hasu doesn't have that much energy for force fields.
It's unfortunate. He does take out the 2 of Overseers. That enables DarKFoRcE to, again, scout out those Dark Templars and actually target them down. But here we go.
The roaches unburrow at the natural, still picking out some things. So DarKFoRcE being everywhere, he's taking his 4th base. And he's actually taking into position extremely close to that pylon, but still, the supplies tell a lot of what's happened over the course of the past couple of minutes. DarKFoRcE 165 to Hasu's 93. Now Hasu does have some pretty decent tech out. He's got Robo, he does have his Twilight tech still intact, but the fact is his economy is quite in shambles. As you see, the amount of workers killed comparatively is in favor of Zerg.
Another important thing is HasuObs has not been able to keep his Immortals alive. Immortals are the way to actually defend against this. When you're 3 base against Roach circling mass pressure, you need your Immortal count to stay high. That way you can build on something. You have a foundation. But because the trades keep happening and these Immortals get less and less, it brings us to a situation where, look at the supplies, 195 to 114, 118, and I don't think HasuObs can really do much.
Hasu he doesn't have that many sentry energy and does manage to put one off to prevent the complete run by, but DarKFoRcE just wants to bait the rest of the units out because he wants to fully engage and be able to take on the units. He knows he has an advantage, and look at that, he's making he has 4 Overseers just in case. Now Hasu's under a lot of pressure. Look at that, changelings being dropped, trying to see if he can get in the face of Protoss and try to pull him back even further, and DarKFoRcE has gotten the entry pass to the Protoss natural.
Oh man, if he can take out that robotics facility, that'll be huge. Looks like for now, he's just, there it is, the target on the robotics facility, no more Immortals for you. So now it's very hard for HasuObs to, be cost efficient at all. And there it is, Grats. HasuObs will tap out, giving DarKFoRcE the first win.
Pretty good job there by DarKFoRcE, taking the first game with a very classic 3 hatch before gas build on Antigua Shipyards. And so HasuObs, he does get to pick the next map, but for now he has to kind of go back to the drawing board. Those Dark Templars, even though they did some pretty decent harass killing off workers, they didn't actually do substantial damage installing for anything.
When you're going against Dark Templars, you need to do massive damage. Really changing into Archons doesn't work out. That's good for later game stages when you need to retain as much gas as possible. But when you're in that mid-game stage, minerals are pretty important. Yep. You need those those Stalkers, you need the Zealots out in time. Unfortunately for HasuObs, he wasn't able to do that. DarKFoRcE hit a pretty critical timing directly after the Dark Templars were cleaned up, and HasuObs just could not stand up to it. I think another critical thing was the 2 sentries. If he had 2 sentries at his third, it would be very different. He would be able to defend his third a lot more efficient, get his units mass up. If he can just wait 1 more minute until maybe another Immortal is out, another 2 Immortals are out, that would have been much, much better for HasuObs. Unfortunate for him, though.
That was a beautiful explanation, Andre. We'll find out if HasuObs can come back in the series or DarKFoRcE clean it up early. Find out after this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. This is Season 3, Week 2, Division number 2. It's Week 3, actually.
Week 3.